Hello and namaste. Hi everyone. My name is Shaubik Dasgupta. I am the founder of SDG Center of Excellence. A very good evening to all of you. सबका स्वागत है आप लोग का जो भी ज्वाइन किए हैं जो ज्वाइन करने वाले हैं टू दिस एक्साइटिंग वेबिनार on marketing technology, which will be very interesting. Let me tell you, let me, for people who don't know me, let me give you an introduction. My name is Shaubik Dasgupta. I'm the founder of SDG Center of Excellence. We are a learning and development company. We work in the learning space, and the objective of this webinar is to create awareness in the space of marketing technology, customer experience, and bring you the best speakers in the industry जो आपके साथ शेयर करेंगे उनका एक्सपीरियंस, उनका जर्नी, उन्होंने क्या प्रोजेक्ट किया है, कैसे किया है. तो ये वेबिनार हाईली एंगेजिंग होगा. हम क्वेश्चन आंसर्स भी लेंगे, आपकी क्वेरी सॉल्व करेंगे, अपॉर्चुनिटीज के बारे में बात करेंगे. सो मोस्टली द स्पीकर हु विल गोइंग टू टॉक, ही विल शेयर हिज एक्सपीरियंस अबाउट हिज जर्नी. उन्होंने कैसे इंजीनियरिंग किया है, कैसे इंडिया में जॉब किया है, कैसे देन नाउ ही इज वर्किंग इन सिंगापुर, एंड क्या डिफरेंसेस रहा है. बिकॉज इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग टू नो for most of us, the viewers who have registered, they are from India. So people who are registered, क्या कल्चर है इंडिया में, कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस कैसे होता है, मार्केटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, उसमें फ्यूचर क्या है, स्कोप क्या होगा, किस तरीके से सारी चीजें डिस्कस होगी. Now the company that is working also is very well known, and some of you may love that product as well. So I'll reveal that, talk about the speaker. So are you ready? If you can comment, some of you, for the webinar, so that I can introduce and bring on the speaker. While you can see him on the screen, but I will also introduce him. So he's a very special person, very humble, down to earth. I know him personally. He comes from an engineering background. He did his engineering from Nagpur. While he will talk about his experience from, and I want you to listen from his mouth as well. But थोड़ा सा background मैं भी add करना चाहूँगा. So he is from Nagpur. Born and raised there, engineering नागपुर से किया. फिर इंडिया में he worked with companies like Wipro, Mahindra Satyam. Then he went on to do his MBA from Singapore. Post that he worked with companies like City Global, and again in Singapore, and Wiley and Sons, and also currently he's working with Coca-Cola as head marketing technology and Asian region. So he has good 13 plus years of experience overall, including his masters as well. बहुत experience है. We'll have this webinar in English and Hindi, so that the objective, core objective जो आपका learning है, जो आप invest करोगे 40 to 50 minutes अगला, वो उससे आप कुछ interesting ले जाओ. And हम Q&A end में करेंगे. And so without taking further ado, let me introduce Mr. Harish Kundargi, who is working with Coca-Cola. So Harish, over to you. We would like to know about your journey, experiences, and then we'll get into the marketing technology and the customer experience piece. So you can take us through the webinar.
Sure, Shobik. For having me. I think friends के साथ interact is always a special thing, and I think sharing my experiences also will benefit everyone. So, and I prepared like a slide on the experience. So I think मैं slide share करता हूँ, and then उसके बाद we can talk through it.
Correct. Maybe you can talk about your experience a little more about your college and your how did you, because you're an engineer, and I know there are many engineers listening to that. There are many people from the customer experience domain, call center, BPO background, so they are also interested to know. So that technical aspect come later, but अगर आपके engineering के बारे में, because I know you had a very good engineering days, and those days are something very unique. Before we get dive into the customer experience, marketing technology. So थोड़ा सा अपने को हिस्ट्री में इंजीनियरिंग थोड़ा नॉस्टैल्जिया फील कराते हैं ना सबको.
Yes, नहीं I think even मुझे भी काफी बहुत fond memories हैं engineering के, and I think engineering के जो days हैं, I think they're special. अभी I think my only guidance to people who are doing engineering is just cherish the moment, because I think these moments you will remember them once you start working, and you'll always look back on those things. So let me just share my screen so that there's a context मिलेगा, and let me know when you can see.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, so before that, I think warm welcome to everyone, and thank you, Shobik, for inviting me. I think it's a pleasure, and Shobik and I have been friends for quite a long time, and I think this was a special moment for me also when he approached me. we will have to raise awareness on what marketing technology is, what digital transformation is, and what consumer experience is. ये सब सारे terms काफी सारे आपने सुने होंगे, but I think I'll present to you some perspective so that you will take out some things that you can apply or also do your research as you go through your studies and stuff. I think uske pehle, I'll give you a bit of a background. So I think I'm basically from Karnataka, born in Karnataka, but then I think I was just born there. The whole raising of me and my brother happened in Tumsar. So Tumsar के आगे, I think Tumsar आप लोगों को सबको पता ही होगा, नागपुर से it's around 100 kilometers. And Tumsar के आगे there used to be manganese mines, अभी भी है, and हम लोग वहीं पे पले बड़े हैं. And then first to 10th तक की schooling I did in Tumsar, and उसके बाद 11th and 12th I came to Nagpur. And after finishing my 12th, I did my engineering in electronics and communication from KITS Ramtech, so Kavi Kulguru Institute of Technology and Science. And after that, we were placed on campus. And then the first company that I joined was Satyam, and I think abhi it doesn't exist anymore. So now it's called Tech Mahindra because it's been integrated. And then after spending a couple of years in Satyam, then I moved on to Wipro. And then I think the interesting thing here to note is that the domains have been different. So when I joined Satyam, I was working with banking. But when I joined Wipro, I was working with media. Media as in, आपने इन कंपनीज का नाम सुना होगा, मैग्रा हिल या फिर थॉमसन रॉयटर्स. ये सारी कंपनीज हैं जो पब्लिश करते हैं बुक्स as well as certifications, and they also have university curriculums in the US. So उनके साथ how do you design their curriculum, how does the workflow go through from one student to the teacher or the professor and then back and forth. So वो सब technology पे हमने काम किया था Wipro पे. And then उसके बाद I thought after having almost 4 साल का experience, 4 साल का, then I thought let's do an MBA because that was the right time. So then that's when I came to Singapore, and it was complete leap of faith. So it was a complete risk in a way because I didn't know what I'm going to do after that. But luckily, after finishing my MBA, it was a 1-year MBA, executive MBA in marketing. And after I did my MBA, the first company that I worked with in Singapore itself was Citibank. And Citibank, I was there for 2 years almost, and I was doing digital banking. And digital banking is essentially आपका जो online banking होता है आज HDFC या ICICI के साथ आपको जो banking है, the experience that you have on those banking websites, we were a part of designing that experience. जब आप login करते हैं तो क्या होता है, then आपको अगर पैसा ट्रांसफर करना है from से आपको आपके फ्रेंड के बीच में, then उसके बीच में क्या क्या होता है, क्या क्या ऑप्शंस आपको स्क्रीन में दिखेंगे, and from a consumer experience point of view क्या क्या important होता है, and how can we simplify that journey for you. So वो सब था हमारा Citibank में. Then उसके बाद I joined this company called as Wiley. It's called as John Wiley and Sons in full. It's a publishing company based out of New Jersey in US. And वहाँ पे I started off as a project manager, but then I slowly moved into Martech and marketing technology. The introduction of marketing technology यहीं से शुरुआत हुई उसकी from John Wiley and Sons. And John Wiley and Sons is a publishing company, and there were like 3 अलग अलग business units हैं उसमें. Again, it's very similar to जो मैंने Wipro में काम किया था in terms of media publishing, कि हमारा एक आर्म है जो books produce करता है, then एक और आर्म है जो online certifications produce करता है, and then एक और आर्म है जो यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ curriculum बनाता है for online learning. So very different projects, very different experiences and all of that. And then उसके बाद I joined Coca-Cola. I've been here almost 1 year, 8 months now, or coming to 2 years. And Coca-Cola mein, my role has been on 2 fronts. Continue the marketing technology journey that I started off with Wiley, and also on digital. And digital meaning marketing technology mein hum log thoda sa deep mein jayenge in the next slides. But when it comes to digital, I think digital has a lot of elements. I think digital transformation आपने काफी बार सुना होगा ये term. I think digital transformation and includes a lot of various elements. So digital transformation is number 1, cultural transformation. For example, आप कैसे behave करते हैं. So if a task or a project is given to you as a team, how do you think towards completing that project or starting that project? So cultural mindset बहुत जरूरी है. How do you collaborate between teams? And teams का structure कैसा है? Is it a flat organization? आप सारे teams में कोई tension तो नहीं है? सब लोग आराम से बात करके you are very comfortable in getting a deliverable out and delivering on time. So all of those are components of digital transformation. And obviously there are technology components because technology is the core of enabling digital transformation. Because आपको आपका सारा backbone technology पे ही होता है. But then cultural transformation is also a very, very big component of digital. So when we talk about digital in Coca-Cola, I think my domain is essentially on e-commerce. So अगर हम लोग बात करें Amazon या फिर Flipkart इस टाइप के websites, उसमें हम लोग how do we play? Coca-Cola का क्या रोल है उन वेबसाइट्स में? How do we sell more? And अगर हमको वहां पे हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स बेचना है तो किस तरीके से प्राइसिंग करना है? So मान लो आप अगर कोई सुपरमार्केट गए, वहां पे आपने कोक देखा जो मान लो 50 रुपीज या 100 रुपीज में मिलता है, उसी का प्राइस ऑनलाइन स्टोर या फ्लिपकार्ट या अमेजोन में कितने का होगा? सो दीज काइंड ऑफ डिस्कशंस. एंड आपको मान लो पैक ऑफ 4 मिलता है ऑफलाइन, ऑनलाइन में should we continue pack of 4 or should we introduce say pack of 6 or pack of 10 or pack of 8? So these kind of discussions go into the picture when we talk about digital. So I'll stop here. Shobik, any questions or anything I should elaborate more on in terms of experience?
And I'm sure by the end we'll have many questions students will have, especially in Coca-Cola. Because as a student, when I was a student, I wanted to know what happens in the industry. इंडस्ट्री में क्या होता है, कैसे काम करता है. एंड स्पेशली जब कोका कोला जितना बड़ा कंपनी जो कि इतने सालों से एग्जिस्ट करता है एंड इतना सारा काम हो रहा है, एंड नाउ कोविड एरा में डिजिटली और बड़ा हो रहा है. सो मे बी आपका एक्सपीरियंस इन दी कोका कोला स्पेस that will help. So once you finish your 30-35 minutes of discussion about marketing technology and digital transformation, probably the aspect of Coca-Cola, I'm sure student, because I as a student and I still want to know now as well, because learning never stops. So what happens in large corporations in terms of digital transformation, that will be very interesting to know as well. So yeah, that's about it that I wanted to add.
No, very nice, Shobik. I think it's a very important question, and I think we can go deep into it at the very end. But I would also like to share in this forum that even it was a breakthrough for me. So very, very honestly, I think when Coke came along, somebody approached me from Coke and said, would you like to work with us? I think it was like a dream come true, because if you look at my resume, Citibank has been the only big company that I worked with. But then I think when Coke came along, it was like a dream come true in a way. So I think we can talk about that experience as well later on.
Sure.
Okay, let me share my screen.
I'll switch off my videos for better connectivity and a better experience for people.
Okay.
And anybody, if students and people who are listening, if you have any questions, you can type in the chat box. I will be noting down the questions, and at the end, we'll take those questions. Definitely, any questions, irrespective of marketing technology, or if you want to know even how he landed up in Singapore, probably if we have time, we'll get that answer as well.
Yes, Shobik, I will also touch upon that, because we do a lot of hiring, and I think a very crucial component of hiring, I think I'll also share कि कितना हमको books पे ध्यान देना चाहिए और कितना हमको street smartness पे ध्यान देना चाहिए. So I think I'll also cover that. I think very end जब हम लोग Q&A करेंगे तो.
Perfect.
Okay, so let me start. So once again, thank you Shobik for arranging this, and a warm welcome to everyone. So आज हम लोग बात करने वाले हैं marketing technology पे. I think this is a new term that has been emerging in the industry. I think this started off in the US about 5-6 years ago, and it is gathering pace. I think we already see this in Europe. We already see this coming to Asia, and I'm pretty sure India, maybe most of you may have heard or will hear in the near future about marketing technology. Now, what is marketing technology and why is it relevant now, right? So very simply put, if you're exposed to, अगर आप Facebook use करते हैं, for example, अगर आप email use करते हैं, तो आपने emails में देखा होगा कि आपको बहुत सारे emails आते हैं. वो emails आपको भेजने के लिए there are tools or technologies available, and then all of that could be automated as well. So मान लो मैं यहाँ पे बैठा हूँ, and then I can create a workflow in a tool. So यहाँ पे जैसे एक example लेते हैं, यहाँ पे 2 tools हैं, like यहाँ पे एक Eloqua करके है, and then यहाँ पे HubSpot करके. These are 2 tools which are called as marketing automation. इन tools में क्या होता है? I can go into the tool and I can define कि मेरे को ये मेरा template है email का, and ये मेरे को भेजना है say 100 consumers को, and उसमें I can set parameters to say अगर consumer open करता है वो email, तो next follow up email क्या भेजना चाहिए. अगर वो कंज्यूमर ओपन नहीं करता है ईमेल से एक हफ्ता या फिर 10 दिन, आई कैन डिफाइन दैट पैरामीटर, तो मेरे को कौन सा मैसेज भेजना चाहिए। एंड ये सारी चीजें से अपने अमेजोन में आपका अकाउंट होगा, फ्लिपकार्ट में आपका अकाउंट होगा, या फिर मिंत्रा में आपका अकाउंट होगा, ऑल ऑफ देम यूज सच टेक्नोलॉजी। बिकॉज मान लो आप मिंत्रा में गए और आपने 2 या 3 4 चीजें कार्ट में ऐड किए, बट आपने चेकआउट नहीं किया। सो उसके बाद आप देखिए कि आपको 7 या 10 दिन बाद कोई ना कोई एक ईमेल आएगा विद एन ऑफर टू से आपने जो चूज किया था उस पर 50% ऑफ है, या 30% ऑफ है, या 20% ऑफ है। वो सब ऑटोमेटेड वे में होता है, एंड उसी के लिए these kind of technologies are used. Now अगर आप Facebook देखते हैं या फिर आप YouTube देखते हैं, आप उसमें एडवर्टाइजमेंट देखते हैं। सो आप Facebook स्क्रॉल करते रहेंगे तो वहां बीच में एक एड आएगा, या फिर आप YouTube जैसे ही स्टार्ट करते हैं वो वीडियो प्ले होने के पहले उसके पहले एक एड आता है। सो ऑल ऑफ दैट इज ऑल्सो enabled by technology, and the core principle of Martech is those technologies. अगर आप मान लो वेबसाइट आपके पास है, आपका खुद का एक वेबसाइट है, या फिर आपकी कंपनी आप जिसमें काम करते हो उसका कोई वेबसाइट है, आप अगर गूगल में जाके उस कंपनी का वेबसाइट या फिर कंपनी का नाम टाइप करते हो, या फिर आप जैसे मान लो कोकोला इज अ बेवरेज कंपनी, राइट। अगर मैं गूगल में जाऊंगी, या फिर अमेजोन का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, अमेजोन और फ्लिपकार्ट का, उसमें जाके इफ आई से आई वांट टू बाय एन आईफोन, लाइक अगर मैं आईफोन रिलेटेड गूगल सर्च करता हूँ, सो उसमें जो रैंकिंग आता है गूगल सर्च में, ऑल ऑफ दैट कुड बी ऑप्टिमाइज्ड, उसको हम कहते हैं सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन। सो ऑल ऑफ दैट, उसके लिए भी पीछे टूल्स एंड टेक्नोलॉजीज होते हैं जिसमें आप कॉन्फ़िगर कर सकते हैं कि अगर कंज्यूमर सर्च कर रहे हैं आईफोन के लिए, मेरा जो क्या कहते हैं, मेरा जो प्रोडक्ट है जो लिस्टेड है फ्लिपकार्ट या अमेजोन में, वो सबसे ऊपर आए। सो मार्केटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी essentially is a collection of technologies and tools which enables you to deliver that experience to the consumer. अभी मैं और एक एग्जांपल देता हूं आपको। जैसे मान लो आप किसी वेबसाइट पे जाते हैं और आपने कुछ चीजें सर्च करी है कि आपने लैंग्वेज प्रेफरेंस वहां पे मान लो इंग्लिश से हिंदी सेट किया है उस वेबसाइट पे, या फिर आपने वहां पे जैसे मान लो डेकेथलॉन करके एक यहाँ पे कंपनी है सिंगापुर में, मान इट सेल्स स्पोर्ट्स गियर। सो मान लो आप जाके वहां पे टेनिस के बारे में ढूंढते हैं, बिकॉज डेकेथलॉन सेल्स एवरीथिंग। सो आपको क्रिकेट गियर, टेनिस गियर, या जो भी स्पोर्ट्स है सारे गियर्स मिलेंगे। सो आप मान लो आप पहली बार विजिट करते हैं एंड यू सर्च फॉर से टेनिस। सो पर्सनलाइजेशन करके एक टर्म होता है विच इज पर्सनलाइजेशन ऑफ द कंज्यूमर एक्सपीरियंस फॉर यू एज अ कंज्यूमर। सो मान लो जब नेक्स्ट टाइम आप विजिट करोगे, सो उस वेबसाइट को ये ध्यान में रखना चाहिए और ये रिमेंबर करना चाहिए कि आपने लैंग्वेज प्रेफरेंस इंग्लिश से हिंदी चूज किया था और आपने टेनिस गियर चेकआउट किया था। सो आप नेक्स्ट टाइम जब विजिट करोगे वो वेबसाइट, आपको डायरेक्टली टेनिस गियर दिखेगा ऑन द फर्स्ट पेज, आपको कोई और वो नहीं दिखेगा। सो यू विल ओनली सी टेनिस गियर। सो that is an indication of the kind of tools and technologies that are available today. And if you collect all of them, that is called as Martech, or nothing but marketing technology. And there are a couple of aspects to it. Now, हुआ क्या है in the industry so far in the last say 7 या 8 साल में? This started having relevance in 2011, क्योंकि उस समय सिर्फ बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज एग्जिस्ट करते थे, लाइक Oracle, Salesforce, Adobe, ये सब कंपनीज के बारे में आपने सुना होगा। उन बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज के अलावा बहुत कम छोटी कंपनीज थी इस स्पेस में। एंड उसके बाद 2011-2012 में क्या हुआ, देयर वाज अ लॉट ऑफ वेंचर कैपिटलिस्ट फंड, जैसे आप अभी सुनते हैं स्टार्टअप्स के बारे में। सो दिस वाज अ टाइम व्हेन स्टार्टअप्स वर एमर्जिंग टू कम अक्रॉस, एंड उसमें काफी सारा पैसा भी था जो इन्वेस्टर्स वर विलिंग टू इन्वेस्ट इन दीज स्टार्टअप्स, इन टेक स्टार्टअप्स। एंड हुआ क्या उस दौरान, सो आप देखिए 2011 में वी ओनली हैड 150 टूल्स। सो माय लाइफ एज अ मार्केटिंग टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट और एज अ मार्केटिंग से ऑफिसर वाज वेरी सिंपल। मेरे पास, I mean, it was still difficult, like I have to go through a suite of 150 technologies to choose कि मेरे कंपनी के लिए और मेरे यूज केस के लिए क्या रेलेवेंट होगा। But then if you look at it now, in the last 6, 7, 8 years, 150 से आज जो हमारे पास टेक्नोलॉजीज अवेलेबल है, it's 7,000 plus technologies and tools available. So मान लो अगर मेरे को पर्सनलाइजेशन करना है या सर्च इंजन ऑप्टिमाइजेशन करना है या फिर मेरे को ईमेल्स भेजना है, उस एक यूज केस के लिए मेरे पास 50 कंपनीज हैं जो सेम चीज करती हैं। सो आई थिंक मेरा चैलेंज ये है कि हाउ डू आई क्वालिफाई द बेस्ट कंपनी इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्राइसिंग, इन टर्म्स ऑफ यूज केसेस, इन टर्म्स ऑफ हाउ who is the best in terms of capabilities, and who does customer support the best, and so on. So that's a challenge for technologists today. And that is why this whole marketing technology space is emerging as a new space in the industry, because you need someone to manage these ecosystems. So for example, when I was with Wiley, I used to manage a portfolio of 70 platforms, 70. So it's not an easy task, because you have to manage Adobe, then you'll have to manage some solutions that you have from Salesforce, then you'll have other companies that you manage with, and then that is the that's the complexity when it comes to Martech now in this era. So in 2020, this 7,000 has grown to 8,000. So now we're looking at 8,000 tools and technologies that are available in the whole industry for us to use the same use cases. So you when you go and bid for an RFI or RFP, आपकी कंपनी को मान लो एक टूल नया सॉफ्टवेयर चाहिए, you'll have to qualify easily 50 to 100 platforms to make sure आपने सही वाला टेक्नोलॉजी खरीदा है, which will go a long way in getting you the value and in delivering the customer experience or consumer experience that you want. So that is why Martech is becoming so relevant in today's landscape. Now, if you look at the industry size, I think it has grown quite exponentially, because I told you about the venture capitalist funding, and venture capitalists are investors who invest in these startups companies. And if you look at the relative size of the industry today, the size of the industry is $121 billion. So it's a massive industry. And I think what will happen from our point of view, because we work with this industry very, very closely, I think 8,000 tools and technologies or companies that are available today, we will see some consolidation. So it's very likely in the next couple of years that Adobe will go and buy some platforms, Salesforce will go and buy some platforms, other companies will go and merge themselves to form a bigger company, and so on. So obviously, the number of companies will likely decrease, but then the size of the industry will increase, because this is more and more relevant. आज इतना सारा data available है सबके पास कि sometimes it's very, very scary to think of क्या data these marketing companies have about as a consumer. So, and I think it's not an incorrect statement to say that Google may probably know more about you than you know about yourself, or maybe your family knows about you. So Google will have all of that data, because whatever you do on Google, Google captures all of that. Whatever you do on Facebook, Facebook captures all of that, and everything. I mean, आप कितने बजे उठे, आपने कब लॉग इन किया, आपने क्या वीडियो देखा, आप किस टाइप के कंटेंट में इंटरेस्टेड हैं, एंड देन उनका एआई इंजन पीछे वही सारे कंटेंट्स आपको दिखाएगा जो आप इंटरेस्टेड इन सीइंग है. एंड आपने देखा होगा कि अगर आपके पास 500-600 फ्रेंड्स हैं, सो आपको मेनली 10 या 12 फ्रेंड्स के ही फीड में दिखते होंगे अपडेट्स, बाकी फ्रेंड्स के दिखते भी नहीं, क्योंकि आपने उनके सॉर्ट ऑफ पोस्ट या फिर उनके अपडेट्स फॉलो करना बंद कर दिया है. एंड वो फेसबुक का जो एआई इंजन है, ये इट कीप्स एडजस्टिंग दैट कि हाँ, जिसके अपडेट्स आपने फॉलो करना बंद कर दिया है, वो कंटेंट भी दिखाना बंद कर देगा. So I think these are the things that are happening in the industry, and it's very important to know if you are going towards this focus area of marketing technology, that ये सब technically possible है, because ये companies इतना ज़्यादा data collect करते हैं आपके बारे में और मेरे बारे में भी, कि उनके लिए बहुत आसान है ये सब manipulate करना कि कौन सा content दिखाना है आपको. So I think after the market size, and I think why is consumer experience so relevant today? And I think why companies need to adapt. And I think we call it in Coke the age of screenagers. And the screenagers is essentially taking teenagers plus screen, because all of us are on mobile phone right from when we get up in the morning and then till we go to bed. And that's why the term screenagers. And I think what's happening to us as companies, and then what's happening to consumers, is as a company there are so many there are many competitors out there, so competition is increasing. There's a lot of technology and technology hype out there, like machine learning के बारे में आपने सुना होगा, artificial intelligence के बारे में आपने सुना होगा. There are like voice assistants like Google Home or Alexa, and then blockchain के बारे में आपने सुना होगा, Internet of Things के बारे में सुना होगा. So there's a lot of technology and technology use cases or experiments that are going on in the industry. Then a lot of tech companies are out there, obviously. And then there's so much of fragmented landscape कि अगर आप अपना फोन आज उठा के देखेंगे, so I'm pretty sure कि आप anywhere between 50 to 100 to 150 apps आपके फोन में ही होंगे आज. Because every minute there's a new app that gets added onto App Store or Google Store, Play Store. So there's so much of information available to you as a consumer, or to me as a consumer. There are so many screens out there. आपके पास टैबलेट होगा, आपके पास मोबाइल फोन होगा, आपके पास टीवी है, and then all the other things that you see outside when you go, billboards, out of home, then movie theaters. There you see so many things. You see so many things on YouTube and stuff like that. And I think basically what's happening with consumers today is the consumers dictate उनको क्या देखना है या फिर उनको क्या जानना है या उनको किस टाइप का कंटेंट पसंद है. अगर आप वेरी रीसेंट एग्जांपल देखेंगे टिकटॉक का, why do you think TikTok became a massive company in less than 10 years? It's because the kind of content that TikTok was putting out or was making consumers put out resonated so much with the consumers that people wanted to do that. So everybody has TikTok nowadays on their phones. वो अलग बात है कि अभी गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने बैन कर दिया है, but I'm just giving you an example of companies that keep themselves very close to consumers and consumer demand, and then see their growth exponentially increasing. And the other example is Instagram, for example. Instagram bhi wahi hai. Like a lot of teenagers nowadays are on Instagram. Like Facebook, I think maybe most of us don't use it. I think most of the teenagers are moving towards Instagram as we see it today. And I think again it's relevant. Okay, there are more filters available. You can do a lot of things to your photographs. You can post stories and stuff like that. So the companies definitely have to adapt to how the consumer is changing, and the companies that adapt will see being relevant tomorrow. If the companies that don't adapt will see themselves dying. And a very good example of such companies are Nokia. So आपको पता ही होगा कि Nokia stopped making phones. I think there are still a line of them that makes some kind of phones, but then they lost the race. They used to be a market leader, but then they were not close to consumer experience of how or where the mobile technology was moving. And I think they were in their own bubble. They had the technology to adapt to, but nobody acted on it. And then they saw themselves losing space to Google and Samsung and Apple going forward. So consumer landscape is changing, and we have to change too as companies. So and I think this is very very important for somebody like me. या फिर अभी आप भी जब workforce में join करेंगे, it's very important to know what a consumer needs. क्योंकि काफी बार होता है, and I think this is a real example, that जैसे हम लोग सिटी बैंक में थे या फिर हम लोग कोक में ही हैं, क्या होता है कि the companies are so big and the company size is also so big, and then from an employee perspective the company's size is also quite big, not just in scale but size. So उसमें क्या होता है कि people have their own opinions and people have their own perspective. So for example, if I am the chief marketing officer of Coca-Cola, अगर मैंने कह दिया कि नहीं हमको ये project नहीं करना है, हमको ये project करना है, and that is just my opinion. I have not done any research looking at consumers कैसे behave कर रहे हैं और how the consumer behavior is changing. So these opinions sometimes take a strong form, and then you distance yourselves from what's happening on the ground. So if I'm the chief marketing officer and मेरे दिमाग में चल रहा है कि नहीं मेरे को यही चीज करना है क्योंकि I believe in it, but I have never looked at कि consumers को क्या चाहिए, my product that I launch will definitely fail because I'm not close to the ground. So we as company folks, or you as in anything that you do, it's very very important to start with the consumer कि consumer demand क्या है. Like for example, हम लोग भी काफी drinks launch करते हैं, कुछ drinks चलते हैं, कुछ drinks नहीं चलते हैं, कुछ drinks do very very well, and I think those that do very very well, a lot of research goes into it, because once you're formulating for example a drink, आप जो भी like for example I'm not sure whether आपको पता है that Thumbs Up, Fanta, Sprite, Coca-Cola, ये सारे Coca-Cola के ही brands हैं. And then अगर आपने Minute Maid for example, ये सारा अभी आपने कभी पिया होगा इन सारे brands को. So इसमें काफी सारा testing होता है. Like अगर मान लो मेरे को एक Thumbs Up launch करना है market में, so I will make sure कि उसमें at least 10 से 15 variants हैं Thumbs Up के जो market में test किए जाते हैं consumers के साथ. तो वो सारे consumers taste करते हैं and then they record their testing to say इसमें sugar level कितना है, इसका taste अच्छा है कि नहीं है, do I feel nice when I drink it, and so on and so forth. So काफी सारा parameters उसमें test होते हैं, and then based on that the best parameter or the best formula that goes eventually in the market. Otherwise it is pulled back from the market अगर वो मान लो perform नहीं कर रहा है, and so on. So consumer behavior or consumer intent is the one that drives everything in today's world. So very very important to note कि you have to be very very close to the ground when you're doing something. Then हम आते हैं when it starts with the consumer, आपके पास data होना बहुत जरूरी है consumer का. अगर आप अपने कंज्यूमर्स को नहीं पहचानते हैं तो आप अपना प्रोडक्ट आप यू कैन नॉट रिफाइन योर प्रोडक्ट टू सेल मोर. सो फॉर एग्जांपल अभी ऐसे आप फ्लिपकार्ट या अमेजोन का एग्जांपल लेते हैं, उनको बहुत सारे इन्फॉर्मेशन है. आप जब भी विजिट करते हैं उनके वेबसाइट पे, उनके पास सारा इन्फॉर्मेशन आता है कि आप किस लोकेशन से विजिट कर रहे हैं, आप क्या ब्राउज कर रहे हैं, कितने कंज्यूमर्स किस चीज को बाय कर रहे हैं प्रोडक्ट. सो आई गिव यू अनदर एग्जांपल ऑफ अमेजोन. सो अमेजोन कीप्स ट्रैक ऑफ क्या क्या प्रोडक्ट सेल हो रहा है. एंड देन आपने देखा हो कि अमेजोन के खुद के बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल अमेजोन का बैटरी होगा जो खुद का होगा, विच इज डिफरेंट देन अदर बैटरी कंपनी. सो अमेजोन का खुद का बैटरी होता है. सो अगर अमेजोन को पता चलता है बेस्ड ऑन द डेटा कि ये बैटरी इज अ प्रोडक्ट दैट सेलिंग वेरी वेरी फास्ट एंड सेलिंग वेरी वेरी वेल एंड इसमें मार्जिन बहुत ज्यादा है फॉर प्रॉफिट, Amazon will get into the game of producing batteries themselves. So अगर आप देख रहे होगे, आप Amazon में जाके बैटरीज सर्च करोगे एंड उसमें एक Amazon बैटरी आता है, this is possibly one of the reasons why Amazon is in the battery space. क्योंकि they realize कि इस प्रोडक्ट का वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा है and people are buying this product a lot more and that is why they want to be in this space with their own brand. And I think it could be anything, like मान लो there are consumer appliances और मान लो माउस से लेके लैपटॉप से लेके कुछ भी हो सकता है. So Amazon will evaluate कि कौन सा प्रोडक्ट बिक रहा है and then if Amazon has intelligence to build it themselves or partner with a company that can build it for them, they will do that. So these are some examples of what data can do. So data is very very important of consumers because that's the driver of आप आगे क्या करोगे. Then as you think about sorry Shobik.
कि अभी डेटा बहुत सारा आ रहा है अमेजोन से रिलेटेड एंड बिफोर यू प्रोसीड देयर वाज अ डिबेट कि अमेजोन अपना प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च कर देता है आफ्टर स्टडीइंग ऑल दिस डेटा एंड अभी इंडिया में एंड इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंसीडरिंग द स्टूडेंट्स एंड द पॉपुलेशन हु आर लिसनिंग टू दिस. बहुत सारे लोग स्टार्टअप करते हैं, अपना बिजनेस चालू करते हैं, बहुत मुश्किल से अपने अमेजोन पे लॉन्च करते हैं, डिजिटल मार्केटिंग के थ्रू प्रमोट करते हैं एंड व्हेन दैट प्रोडक्ट इज गेनिंग ट्रैक्शन, उसको ग्रोथ मिलता है, तो नाउ अमेजोन स्टडीज दैट डेटा एंड वो खुद लॉन्च करता है. एंड बहुत सारा डिबेट भी हुआ है. वी हैव बीन वर्किंग विद पीपल इन द इंडस्ट्री सो वी नो अबाउट दैट. सो व्हाट्स योर टेक नाउ एंड स्मॉल बिजनेसेस दे आर फियरिंग स्पेशली इन इंडिया बिकॉज एमएसएमई बहुत बड़ा सेगमेंट है इंडिया में एंड अमेजोन वो सेगमेंट को पूरा मतलब वेलकम भी कर रहा है एट द सेम टाइम यू नो उस सेगमेंट को खा भी रहा है, मतलब उनका पाए खा रहा है, उसमें से पीस खा रहा है. So what's your take? Can you elaborate a little more on that because this is a very interesting thing and especially students जब मार्केट में जाएंगे, अलग अलग कंपनीज में जाएंगे या ऑलरेडी जो जॉब कर रहे हैं अर्ली स्टेज प्रोफेशनल्स, उनके लिए बहुत जरूरी है जानने के लिए. सो दे हैव अवेयरनेस अबाउट द इंडस्ट्री, क्या हो रहा है.
No, I think very good point, Shobik. I think इसमें बहुत सारा as you mentioned इसमें काफी इंडस्ट्री traction भी हुआ है. A lot of companies have revolted against it, not just in India, in the US also, because US maybe Amazon is such a big player. They've been doing that in the US also. And इसके लिए I think because Amazon is such a big player, there are limited options available for you if you're a very small customer, for example. Like if I'm selling like handloom या फिर I'm selling something very very small like homemade products and stuff like that, it's very difficult for me to compete with Amazon. There are a couple of things that you can do from a differentiation point of view. So if you offer yourself something else that Amazon does not offer, say for example in terms of service, that is only available when you buy your product from this category and not from the same product from Amazon, say kit. So उसमें consumer service or customer service can play a very very important role. कि हाँ मान लो अगर somebody wants to return the product, उसमें कुछ है, so how do you react to that? Do you immediately say no? Or do you offer a return guarantee and so on. So there are very small nuances that you can do, and then obviously you'll have to diversify your portfolio. So you cannot stay with that same portfolio for too long because if competitors are saying, it's not just Amazon, मान लो अगर आपने कोई product launch किया, I'm pretty sure कि the competitors in the next 2 months or 6 months will spring up on Amazon and they will offer the same thing that you are offering. So it's very important for you to diversify or keep building on how you refine that particular product. So it's very very important to increase the product appeal in terms of what is it offering, broaden the portfolio of the products that you are offering, and also make sure that the customer service is something that is unparalleled so that people will always come to you to buy that. And in the meantime, since Amazon is probably giving you a tough fight, diversify your selling platforms as well. So for example, उसके लिए you can also open up, say Flipkart के साथ आप काम कर सकते हो, या फिर आप खुद का वेबसाइट लॉन्च कर सकते हो जहां पे you can have कि अगर आप खुद के वेबसाइट से खरीदते हो, so maybe you'll get a 5% discount and so on. उसमें उसके लिए आपको थोड़ा सा मार्केटिंग डॉलर ज्यादा स्पेंड करने पड़ेंगे to promote your product, but then you can tweak that to say you have 2 or 3 channels available so that you diversify your channels as well.
That was very insightful, yeah. So you can continue with the remaining part.
Okay, so I think to continue on with what I was saying, I think consumers के साथ connect होना बहुत जरूरी है. And for example, when I talk about engagement strategy, or I think that's essentially say, if you drink Coke, उसका क्या proposition है? How does Coke make an impact? Like when you drink Coke, does it refreshes you? You know, do you feel like fresh after drinking Coke? Similarly, Sprite का क्या proposition है? Sprite is also a Coca-Cola product. So Sprite जब पीते हैं, so उसका क्या impact है? Does it refresh you? You know, and क्या हम लोग क्या proposition दे रहे हैं consumers को? Fanta जब आप पीते हो, हम किस segment को target कर रहे हैं? So Fanta essentially हम लोग 3 segment को target करते हैं when it comes to Fanta. तो उसमें do they feel refreshed when their school is over and then they're drinking Fanta and so on? So हमको ये सब बहुत बार सोचना पड़ता है, and this is a continuous conversation. So ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने एक strategy बना लिया कि Coke ये करेगा, Sprite ये करेगा, Fanta ये करेगा. We will never revisit them. No, हम लोग हर महीने, even हर quarter जाके revisit करते हैं कि हाँ, is that strategy working? Do consumers feel कि हम लोग जो offer कर रहे हैं, is that relevant for them? अगर if it's not relevant for them, then we'll have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, this Fanta for teens is not working. So हमको एक पूरा landscape ही change करना पड़ेगा हमारे strategy को. So essentially that's what it is. So आपके हर एक product के लिए आपको सोचना है कि आप किस segment को बेच रहे हो, and then उस segment को वो appeal करेगा या नहीं करेगा, and whether that product is performing well in the market. अगर नहीं हो रहा है तो you'll have to go back to the drawing board. And the sooner you do that, the more successful you will be. If you just keep assuming yourself कि नहीं it will be successful at some point, you will lose it, and then after like a year or so, you'll not have the window to anywhere make an impact. So you'll have to pull it back from the shelves in the market. So that's why it's very important to stay close to the consumer. And when we talk about experiences, वो experience ही matter करता है. So for example, अगर हम लोग campaign run कर रहे हैं, so आपने एक Coke पिया, and उसके बाद मान लो एक उस Coke में QR कोड था जो आपने स्कैन किया, एंड देन वो QR कोड आपको एक वेबसाइट पे लेके जाता है जहां पे आप पार्टिसिपेट कर सकते हो एक कैंपेन में. ना वो एक्सपीरियंस जो है आपके लिए उस वेबसाइट में, दैट मैटर्स द मोस्ट एज वेल. कि आपने एक कोक पिया, आपको ना, you didn't just get the refreshment, but you also have a chance to win rewards. So for example, you can win a trip to England, you can win, say, a bike, or you can win a TV, or you can win a car, and so on and so forth. So the experience or the journey that you go through in having that also determines how do you engage with consumers and stay relevant. So I think these are very, very important points for you to think through when you're talking about consumer experience. And then since we're talking about consumer experience, how do you enable that? And I think Coca-Cola में हम लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? We are doing a couple of things. So first of all, हम लोग एक consumer data platform बना रहे हैं, जिस platform में जो भी consumers हमारे websites या फिर हमारे vending machines या जो भी properties हम own करते हैं उसको visit करता है, we are able to extract data like how Amazon or Flipkart would do. So every company will have to do this to know किस type के consumers आपके साथ interact कर रहे हैं. So we were a little bit behind in the race, but we are catching up in terms of having a data platform where all of the data that we capture comes through centrally, and then we can understand कि किस type के consumers आ रहे हैं. There's a concept called as remarketing. So अगर आप पहले किसी promotions में आपने participate किया है, so हम आपको फिर से दोबारा कैसे reach out कर सकते हैं कि से okay 6 महीने बाद एक और promotion आ रहा है, would you like to participate again? So इस तरीके की चीजें, it will become very, very easy if you have a central platform. And then the other thing that we are doing is reporting. Very, very important कि हम लोग जो पैसा spend करते हैं advertising में, हमको कैसे पता चल रहा है कि वो effective है या नहीं है. So उसके लिए we are investing a lot in analytics to say जो भी हम लोग invest करते हैं Google में या फिर Facebook में या फिर TV में या फिर radio में, all of that data needs to come together for us to know कि अगर हमने एक कैंपेन लॉन्च किया है, like मान लो हम एक दिवाली कैंपेन लॉन्च करते हैं, so वो कैंपेन whether it was effective, कितने लोगों ने देखा वो कैंपेन, कितने लोगों ने उस कैंपेन के बेसिस पे कोक खरीदा फॉर एग्जांपल, या फिर कोक के साथ दे फॉर्म्ड अ बॉन्ड टू से ओके यू नो अगर कल आपसे कोई पूछेगा तो विच ब्रांड डू यू लाइक द मोस्ट, immediate thing that comes out to you is yeah Coca-Cola is very nice क्योंकि उनके ads काफी अच्छे होते हैं, they are very consumer friendly, they know what I want, etc. So if we make an effort कि हाँ Coca-Cola is top of your mind, then we have been successful to an extent कि हाँ अगर आप we call this brand recall, to say if you are able to recall your interaction with Coca-Cola, then it's a very successful stage. But how do we know that? So usko track karne ke liye you need analytics, and that's why we are building an analytics engine within Coca-Cola. So all of their data comes through, and then we are able to analyze कि वो ad effective था कि नहीं था, and then वो ad अगर effective था, so कितना uplift हो सकता है in brand recall as well as in transactions based on the campaigns that we have run. So that is essentially the data part and what we are doing to make sure that we are very, very close to the consumers. Okay, this is there's a lot of data in this slide, but I'll just highlight the solutions or the important aspects on this slide. So don't read into too much of details. Just look at the middle portion. अगर आप middle portion में देखेंगे तो there's something called as consumer data platform. So consumer or customer data platform is your backbone. So अगर आप किसी भी कंपनी में आज जाएंगे, this platform should exist because ये platform क्या करता है? It ingests data from every single platform. So मान लो आपके पास एक आपका SAP डेटा है जहाँ पे आप फाइनेंशियल्स इंक्लूड करते हो, आपके पास एक सेल्सफोर्स डेटा है या CRM डेटा है जहाँ पे आपके पास सारे सेल्स पाइपलाइन के कॉन्टैक्ट्स हैं या फिर आपके अपकमिंग पाइपलाइन जो प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं उनका इंफॉर्मेशन है, वो एक इंफॉर्मेशन स्टोर्ड है. आपके पास आप मान लो सर्वे भेजते हैं एज अ कंपनी एंड वो सर्वे को कंज्यूमर्स रेस्पॉन्ड करते हैं, सो वो जो डेटा है वो किसी और प्लेटफॉर्म में स्टोर्ड है. देन आपके पास मान लो एडवर्टाइजिंग आप करते हैं लाइक फेसबुक और गूगल में, उसमें उसका बहुत सारा डेटा आता है रिपोर्टिंग कि वो काम कर रहा है नहीं कर रहा है एड, वो एक किसी अलग जगह पे स्टोर्ड है. सो कंज्यूमर डेटा प्लेटफॉर्म क्या करता है, आपके जितने भी डिफरेंट टूल्स और टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं वो सारा डेटा एक जगह कोलेक्ट करता है फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड कि इफ आई मिक्स ऑल ऑफ दैट डेटा then how does that impact me, because the power of the data when you combine everything is very, very powerful, because then you can relate to say okay ye data set is related to that data set and is related to that data set. Then you start forming patterns, and then once you start forming patterns you get insights to say okay this is something that I didn't know about my consumers. And then a very good example is say Japan mein we have an app called as Coke On, and then in Japan we have 1 million vending machines. That's the only country where we have so many vending machines. It's the biggest country in terms of vending machines. Now usme we get so much of data, and usme we can figure out कि किस vending machine से कितना ज़्यादा transactions हो रहा है, and वो transaction किस product का हो रहा है. Are people drinking coffee? Are people drinking Coke? Are people drinking Sprite? Or are people drinking Thumbs Up or Fanta and so on? And then किस time पे हो रहा है कि सबसे ज्यादा ट्रांजैक्शंस किस प्रोडक्ट के किस टाइम पे होते हैं, वो होते हैं इधर लंच टाइम पे, और इज इट इन द मॉर्निंग, और इज इट इन द इवनिंग डिनर टाइम पे, एंड सो ऑन. सो वंस यू कंबाइन ट्रांजैक्शन डेटा विद आपका प्रोडक्ट डेटा एंड सो ऑन, यू गेट सो मेनी मोर इनसाइट्स टू से ओके अगर ये वाले वेंडिंग मशीन में सिर्फ कॉफी ही बिक रहा है, सो मे बी मैं सारे बाकी प्रोडक्ट्स हटा के आई जस्ट मेक श्योर कि बाकी जो कॉफी वेरिएंट्स है वो अवेलेबल है यहाँ पे, बिकॉज ये वेंडिंग मशीन सिर्फ कॉफी ही ज्यादा बेचता है, एंड सो ऑन. So you can tweak all of those things if you know about the data. अगर मेरे पास कोई data नहीं है तो I won't be able to make that decision at all. So that is why, and I think as I mentioned to you earlier, Wiley में we used to manage a portfolio of 70 platforms. And imagine on 70 platforms में there are 70 different data sets that exist. Now how do I make sure I bring all of that data together? And that is the beauty of a data platform that everybody should have in the company today, so that all of the data comes together. Okay, and then I think since we are on the topic of consumer experience as well, I just wanted to give you a different perspective of how we see things evolve. And I think this is very, very important for us to look at history. Look, काफी बार होता है कि हम लोग हिस्ट्री में we don't learn from our experiences. So we may be repeating the same mistake that we may have done 10, 20 years ago. And ये सारे companies में होता है. So somebody, मान लो आपका कोई नया hire है at a very top level. He will come and say, let's try this idea. अगर आपको पता है कि ये idea आपने try किया था 15 साल पहले and it didn't work, then you could learn from those experiences and tweak the idea. But आजकल क्या होता है बहुत सारी companies में they don't learn from what has happened in the past. And I think that's a very, very big miss. So it's very important for companies to look at पहले क्या हुआ है, did we learn can we learn from our past, very very important. So अगर आप ये slide देखेंगे, so 20 years ago, this is a slide which talks about biggest companies by market capitalization. So एक company का value कितना है in terms of the investors के नजरों में. So यहाँ पे देखेंगे कि 20 साल पहले GE was the top company and investors के नजरों में the market capitalization or value of the company was $222 billion. And if you look at Coca-Cola was on the top 10 list with $151 billion as the market capitalization or the value of the company. Now, up right hand side में देखेंगे 20 years बाद, which is the data for last year, there's no Coke. Coca-Cola is list पे नहीं है. The Coca-Cola, I think Coca-Cola अभी के ranking के हिसाब से is 34th or 35th rank in terms of market capitalization. And if you look at this list today, 7 out of the 10 companies in this list are technology companies. And in terms of market capitalization, अगर आप देखेंगे Microsoft 20 साल पहले it was only $160 billion. Now it's the biggest company with $1+ trillion in terms of valuation of that company in the eyes of the investors. So what has caused that shift? क्यों ये companies इतने बड़े हो गए हैं in the last 20 years or so? And उसके लिए बहुत बड़ा reason है on this slide कि ये जो companies हैं, they were very close to consumers. They knew कि consumers को क्या चाहिए होगा 5 साल बाद. How is the industry going to change 5 साल बाद या 10 साल बाद? So it's very important for companies to look at future. कि 10 साल बाद लोगों को क्या चाहिए होगा, 5 साल बाद लोगों को क्या चाहिए होगा, and then start building on that today. So अगर आप देखोगे ये जो companies हैं, they built ecosystems around them. And what do we mean by ecosystems? So अगर मान लो आप Microsoft देखते हैं, Microsoft क्या क्या नहीं ऑफर करता है आज. Microsoft offers आपका ऑफिस का जो इक्विपमेंट है in terms of PCs, आपका ऑफिस है, वर्ड सॉफ्टवेयर, so the whole software OS is all Microsoft. And then Microsoft also has accessories nowadays. Microsoft also has cloud systems. अगर आपने Microsoft Azure का नाम सुना होगा, so they also offer cloud solutions for developers and so on. So it's an ecosystem because you're not just in one product, you're in multiple products. अगर आप Amazon देखोगे तो similar thing. Amazon is in it's a software company. Then उनका खुद का retail website है. Then they bought this company called as Whole Foods in the US. So they are also a supermarket. They are into cloud services, which is Amazon Web Services. So for developers to create websites and so on and experience and tools and technology. So they are in the software business. So there's so many things that Amazon is playing into. And I think there's not a single day that passes by where we don't interact with one of these brands. So we open our office laptops every day almost. Facebook हम लोग रोज ही देखते हैं almost. हमारा phone either iOS है या Android पे चलता है. So we interact with them on a daily basis. So what have these companies done? Like अगर Apple को भी देखोगे आप, so Apple के पास not just iPhone है, they had iPad, they have PC, their whole line of computers that they have, laptops and so on. Similarly, Google, अगर आप देखोगे, so many products. Google is into mobile phones, Google is into softwares, Google is into rival products with Microsoft like Google Docs, Google Sheets, a range of softwares and so on. So these companies have built ecosystems around them to say, as a consumer, you will interact with at least one of their products in some shape or form. And I think that is what the companies today need to do to look at future. अगर हम लोग ecosystem अपने आसपास नहीं बनाएंगे, it's very difficult to. अभी आप अगर देखेंगे इंडिया का ही example, Reliance Jio. अभी Reliance is on track to become one of these companies like this. So Reliance was in petrochemicals. Then they launched Jio. That's how Reliance started in petrochemicals, and they've been diversifying since then. And recently, now if you look at Jio, Jio is not just a mobile phone provider. Jio is also JioMart. They've launched JioMart. They've launched JioMeet, which is a video conferencing solution. They've launched so many things on Jio. So that is the exact premise of where Jio is going, to build an ecosystem around you. That there'll come a time when you will interact with a Jio product at least once in the day. So I think that's where they want their companies to take towards, and very important point for us to note. And I think lastly, I'd like to close before we open up on Q&A with this video. Now, this is a video that this is an example of an advertisement that we had run in the US a couple of years ago. And this demonstrates the use of technology or innovation that you can do to drive consumer experience. Like if agar aap ye ad dekhoge, like maine bhi jab pehli baar ye ad dekha tha, so I was like, wow, we can do something like this. It looks very difficult, but it's very, very easy once you put your minds to do something like this. So I'll let the ad play, and then we can open the forum up for Q&A. And Shobik, let me know if the audio isn't visible once I started.
Sure.
To get more people to try Coke Zero, we created an entire campaign that they could literally drink. First, we built a billboard that served real Coke Zero to thousands of fans. Then, we poured Coke Zero to people all over the country.
Your TV is about to pour you a Coke Zero.
This is a drinkable commercial.
We partnered with Shazam and created a new way of using their technology.
Shazam now to drink it.
By Shazamming the spot, the Coke Zero from the screen was pulled right into people's phones, whether they were at home, at a concert, or among 80,000 people at the NCAA final game. Every interaction ended with a free Coke Zero that could be redeemed at major retail stores across the U.S. Even when there was no screen, we poured Coke Zero using just sound. From ads that became cups, to flyers that became straws, to tweets that poured Coke Zeros in 140 characters, to drinkable posters that use Shazam to turn people's phones into digital straws. Every single ad put a Coke Zero in people's hands. So next time you're thirsty, drink an ad.
All right. So I think just a bit of background on this ad. So आपने देखा होगा कि this ad has all the elements of video and audio technology. So अगर मान लो आप radio पे हैं, so you can just turn on the volume and then turn on Shazam on your phone, and then just open the app, and then the bottle will fill by itself, just looking or listening on the sound, and that's enabled by sound technology that your phone can capture. And similarly with video, your phone has the capability to understand and listen to what's happening or what's being played on the TV, and then it'll fill up the Coke bottle as you view the ad in real time, and then give you a coupon that you can then go to a supermarket and redeem. So very, very powerful ad for us. And then this created a lot of PR value for Coke, and it was a new experience for us in launching this technology as well. That's all I had for today. So I think just to recap, I think we looked at what marketing technology is and why is it evolving, the digital transformation that's happening. So cultural transformation is very relevant. And then we looked at some of the examples here and there on why we need to be very, very close to the consumer. And then we looked at a couple of examples as well. So I think, yep, that was my experience so far. So let's open the forum up for Q&A.
Thank you, Harish, for enlightening us, with such wonderful technology, data, and the concepts that I'm sure जो सुन रहे हैं audience उनको बहुत informative लगा है and उनको बहुत फायदा होगा. I have one question. We have around 4 or 5 minutes max. One question that I have, we spoke a lot about data. We spoke a lot about marketing technology. I wanted to know what are the opportunities for young students or fresh people who are working in corporates. क्या avenues open करेगा ये? I'm sure, because I know personally there's a huge opportunity. But from a recruitment standpoint, from a growth standpoint, from a career standpoint, क्या करना चाहिए? और electrical engineer है, electronics engineer है, computer science. So computer science engineer, they have a lot of opportunities in artificial intelligence, machine learning. But क्या एक normal engineer aspire कर सकता है मार्केटिंग टेक्नोलॉजी में अपना करियर बनने के लिए, या क्या उसको एमबीए मार्केटिंग होना बहुत जरूरी है?
Yes, so I think a very good question. So I would just say the relevance. I think let me start with the last question, which is the MBA. So it's not absolutely necessary for you to have an MBA, because I think the market, it depends on the market. So for example, अगर मैं Singapore में हूँ, you have to do that research. Singapore में MBA makes no difference. Period. It is all your experience that counts. US में to a large extent MBA makes no difference. It's your experience that counts. India mein, I think we put a lot of value on MBA, so I think that's a different story. So India mein is still relevant. So I would say India mein, yes, you should definitely do an do an MBA. But I think when it comes to anybody pursuing a path towards the future, I think it's not limited to anything. So for example, I've done engineering in electronics and communication. मैंने आज तक electronics and communication के नाम पे कुछ भी नहीं किया है. In terms of, I've not handled a chip where, I've looked at VLSI designs and produced something for Intel or AMD kind of companies. If you look at it, or I've not worked with telecom companies, for example. My career has been with banking and marketing. So I think it's just what you put your mind towards and what you're interested in. And I think there are a lot of avenues for you to learn. Like if digital marketing, I think digital marketing is again emerging as a very big driver of career options for anybody who wants to go towards that line. And you're not limited by what you study. So even if you're a civil engineer, you can go and become a digital marketing practitioner. The only thing I would say is when we hire or interview people, the more hands-on knowledge about concepts you have, the better are your chances. Because I think once you join a company, it complete, like even I can have zero knowledge when I join the company, but it's my experience or my attitude that matters the most. So if I'm willing to demonstrate that I can perform, even though I don't know anything on day one, but I can talk to my manager and say, give me 30 days. I will learn everything and prove to you on the 31st day that I am competent and I will master the subject. That is what a hiring manager is looking at. So if I am a manager and somebody comes to me and says, give me 30 days, I'm like, yes, please take it. And then agar aap wo dikha sakte ho meko, it's the attitude that matters more than knowledge. I can guarantee you 100% that if somebody shows me the willingness to learn, they will be the first preference for any manager in any of the companies, because that is what makes you stand apart from the other people who show that they may have the requisite knowledge. And I think lastly, to wrap it up, I'll say on digital marketing itself, there are a lot of free resources available on Facebook, on Google, on tools and training. So if you want to learn about Google technologies or Facebook or any of these technologies, please feel free to go to any of these online platforms and search for free trainings. I'm pretty sure you'll find loads of trainings for you to get some insights.
So thank you. On that note, attitude matters is very important. And as an engineer, I would second that thought, because something that we learned in engineering is attitude, how to manage things at the last moment, how to get things done when the situation is tough. Even being an electrical engineer, I have never changed a light bulb probably, a difficult one, not the easy one. But yeah, so I believe attitude matters. And on that note, thank you so much, Harish, for enlightening us. We had fun listening to you. It was very insightful indeed. And we'll send across the PPT if you can share it to the audience. And if they have any questions, they can write us to sdgedu at SDG Consultants. We can pass the questions to Harish. You can directly connect with him on LinkedIn. You can connect me on LinkedIn as well at Shobik Dasgupta. Both of us are available. If any questions, any one of you, you can write us or connect on social media. Thank you so much. On that note, signing off. Harish, thank you.
Thank you, Shobik. Thank you, everyone. Hope you had a good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.